Always, this is episode 417, Soul Not For Sale podcast. Coach Colin here. Let's get right into it. James O'Keefe says something very interesting in this clip I'm about to play. You know, it shows a couple things. It shows his resolve, the resolve that he has towards the mission that he's on. You know, he's really cut from a different cloth, not just when it comes to journalism, but just as a person. The hypothetical that he brings up, I don't know anyone who could really walk away from what he's talking about. And actually, you know, I know of one person. I know of one person definitely, and I'll bring that person up after he talks about them. But just really interesting conversation him and Roseanne have. James O'Keefe, when he's not wrapped up in, you know, what he does, he's not wrapped up in having to like confront people and, you know, do things like what he did with the BlackRock employee and so many others. He's very, very well thought out, very eloquent, and not as extroverted as you'd think someone like that is. You can tell by the way he talks. He's a like very introverted person. Not really timid, but definitely not like boisterous and, you know, like you think by the dance stuff that you see him doing and everything that he would be like that party type almost. But it's almost like he does that type of stuff to kind of do it in the face of the people who want to see him stop, that want to see him get, you know, ousted from a company, that want to see his career end, that want to see him, you know, just flat on his face like so many others who try to take up the pursuit that he's taking. But it's not going to happen, not with James. Now, let me get to that clip. But before I do, let me just get to the store real quick. This is IamCoachColin.com. We have the Soul Not For Sale merch. We have the Anti-WF shirts. And we have the Great Resist shirts. Go ahead and cop any of those, and you can use the discount code IamCoachColin. That is all capital letters, all one word, one L on the call-in. Let's get into it. And if you've bought anything from that store, we appreciate it so much. Thank you so much. New designs are coming. I just haven't had a chance. I'm in front of this camera every single day, but new designs are coming very soon. Now let's get into that clip. Here it is. Let's play this for you.
I was going to say about what I've learned is that I remember as a leader, because you made a really astute point that talent tends to attract moth-like people or whatever we don't call them. I've heard the metaphor like psychic vampires. I've heard that.
Yeah, that is what it is.
Psychic,
not a metaphor.
I mean, not a metaphor. I mean,
No.
if you're a star, if you're of any height, you will usually attract star effers and psychic vampires and hangers-on and these sorts of people. But
you mostly attract people who want to put you in your place. You know what's wrong with you, little girl? Everybody just says yes to you and bows to you. And, well, no, they don't. Are you kidding me? Everybody's trying to backbite me. But that's what they say. And I'm here to put you in your place. They all say that.
I've heard that.
They all say that.
I've heard that. I've seen, without mentioning names, in my life, people project onto you everything that they are. Yeah, they do. And they accuse you of everything that they're guilty of. It's almost like they want to because if you're good, they want to make you bad. That your very existence is an act of rebellion against who they are.
That's right.
And you have to be like insanely strong because it'll make a reasonable man question his own perception of reality.
Yeah, well,
it's happened to me.
It's called gaslighting.
Gaslighting, precisely. And it shakes you to your core, and it traumatizes you, and you got to heal from it, and you got to move forward. But when I was sitting in my conference room some months ago, I think it was late last year, I had this epiphany. Maybe it was from God, and it was this thought experiment. And I said, how many people here, let's say there's 75 people work for me, something like that. More if you include lawyers and contractors. How many people here, if someone came to them and said, I will give you, pick your number, $2 million, $10 million, $20 million, and no one will ever know that you got it. Just a thought experiment now, I was thinking. And the only thing you have to do is to stop doing what you're doing. I will give you whatever you want, and the only thing you have to do is to stop exposing corruption. Stop pursuing this mission. How many people would take that bet?
99.99%.
Okay, but in my line of work, you can't have that.
Right.
Like the people that are with me right now, I mean, the guy that you met earlier today, the pastor gentleman, the guy I introduced you on the phone, the undercover journalist, who shall not be mentioned by name, these people would not take that bet. They wouldn't do it.
That's great.
And then I had to realize, how do I even evaluate? How do you even test for that? You can't ask someone, "Oh, I would never do that. I would never." You can't ask them a question in a job interview, right? They'll just say, "Yes, I won't take the bet." And I had that realization some months ago, just sitting there. So in many ways, this is all a blessing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Helps
Maybe
me.
we needed to get knocked down like that to rebuild back to a more sane and realistic.
Because those people get it. Those people do. You're right. Those people do see that you have talent. Those people are not the gaslighters.
Yeah.
They're not the moths. They're people who are actually really appreciative, and I can tell that it's genuine. I'm not talking about people like, in the industry or in the politics. I'm talking about like some guy at a diner, at a rest stop, or at a restaurant. You know.
They say like, hey, you connected a few dots for me, which is
Yes.
great, because it's like that's what I want to do, is like help people to see what's going on so that we can stop it. What do you think about Trump getting indicted? Are you just blown away or what?
This just happened as of this filming or this recording. This just happened very late last night, and I haven't read up on all the analysis. I just saw the headline, but it's apparently under the Espionage Act, the 1917 passed under Woodrow Wilson Espionage Act, which I don't, on a cursory analysis, I don't think should be applied here. I mean, first of all, it seems to be an unequal application of justice. They're going after this guy on any possible conceivable theory, when every president probably is guilty of this sin, if not more so than Trump. I think it's in Florida, federal court in Florida. I'm not sure that a jury is going to convict him of this in Florida. But
It's what is it? The 11th court.
The 11th Circuit, the federal court in Miami. This was, reporters were gathering in Miami, and I myself have been targeted, by the federal Department of Justice.
I wasn't even supposed to let it run that long, but I wanted to hear what he had to say about that as well. I didn't know it was in Florida. Trump's gonna be fine in Florida. Let me tell you something. I know they love DeSantis over there, but they love Trump over there as well. I mean, their love for Trump is almost what made them love DeSantis so much, So, just very interesting. But back to the deeper question that he was asking about the $20 million. Who would take it and just run? Who would take it and just fold? I realized as he was saying that, that's Tucker Carlson. Like, love him or hate him, that's what Tucker actually did. Fox is like, we're just going to pay you and you don't have to work. And now, is Tucker getting $20 million a year? I don't know. But it's definitely in the 8 figures. If it's not 20, it's 10. And I'd be surprised if it was 10. I would say it's probably, 15 to 20, something like that. He was the #1 guy at Fox, and it was only getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Like, I would assume he had a contract like that. And they want to just pay him up until December 31st, 2024, like just clear through the elections and be done with it. And then you're paid, and now you're free to do whatever you got to do. And every time he posts anything on YouTube, on Twitter, that is him saying, I will not just take your check and be silent. I will not just take your money and walk away. And then when James says that he wouldn't do that, I really do. I believe James. I think this pursuit although like some people, I've heard people in the comment section like, oh, he has too much ego and this and that. It's like, that's what you do in the face of adversity. In the face of adversity, you stand up, you stand tall, you get boisterous and everything like that. You boast. That's what you do in the face of adversity. So they understand that they can't hurt you. That's what you have to do. But yeah, I believe him when he says he wouldn't take that, you know? Because honestly, I mean, when it comes to Project Veritas, he could have just abided by everything that they wanted him to do and said, let's work this out. Please, let's work this out. And he would have been just fine. Probably could have just pulled everything back, maybe even took away or maybe even censored that story that he did on Pfizer, and would have been just fine. But instead he said no. He said, in fact, not only am I saying no, I'm going to start another company and continue my work because I don't have time for what's going on here. I don't understand what's going on here. I don't have time for it. I'm leaving. And he just started another company doing just as well, if not better. So, yeah. Very, very interesting question. I posed that question instantly to myself as he was saying it. And that is a very hard thing to think about. It's a very hard question to address. And I know a lot, like James said, anybody who's asked about it, you know, I would never. It's better to expose justice. You've never seen a $20 million check. Let me tell you something. Straight up. I've never seen a $100,000 check. I've never seen that in my life. Never seen that in my bank account. I've never seen $10,000 in my bank account at one time. Never in my life. You know? If all of a sudden somebody offers you $20 million, a lot of people are going to fold. You know? And they're not going to fold out of greed, but they're going to fold out of like, I have to do this. You know, they're going to not make the excuse because it's a valid excuse. They're going to be like my family. Oh, I have a family, so yeah, I'll take this. It's fine. I have something to leave my kids, finally. Finally, I have that stress off my back. A lot of what we do in this world is for money, so it's a hard question. But I also think this. I think that if you did have that question posed to you, if somebody did come to you and say, listen, we see what you're doing. We'll offer you $20 million. You just have to stop what you're doing. That would kind of make me go, oh, it's true. Like whatever I was working on or exposing, I'd be like, oh, it's really true. It's really true. Like I'm like a couple of steps away. You know, maybe if I push a little more, I can actually get to the point. But it's like, but I think that would happen also. And also I think some people, I think even myself included, if you offer me $20 million to just stop what I was doing, I would get kind of scared. I'd be like, what do I owe you if I do this? And me, I really do. Like, it's not just a shirt. I really do think of my soul. I'm like, is this some kind of soul contract? Because I'm not just giving up my soul, $20 million. My soul's worth way more than $20 million. Like, just, it's priceless. You couldn't put a price on it, you know? So I'd be a little scared. I'd be like, whoa, are you going to ask me to do something in a dark room or something with a bunch of, like, guys in suits? Like, what do you want from me, you know? I would get real off. I'd be like, whoa, 20 million. What did I do? What are you going to do with me? Nah. But who knows? You know, it makes me wonder, even with that question posed, like, maybe that's what's happening when you see people get these contracts. But then again, it's like you see Rogan get a huge contract and people are like, Rogan's a shill. It's like, had you not seen everything he did over the pandemic? And it's like, but he said that one thing that I didn't like, so he's a shill. It's like, so it's like, I can't even throw him in there. You think of Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle walked and then ended up getting the money. It's you can't throw him in there with how much he speaks against everything. Tucker Carlson, same thing, with how much he makes a lot of money, but he speaks against everything. You know, all these guys, right? The only one who hasn't got offered a massive contract is Russell Brand, and he still speaks against everything. Like, I don't know. A lot of people who claim this whole controlled opposition thing. It's like, I think you're hearing things you don't like. And once you hear a thing you don't like, and that person claims to be on your side, and they're having clear thought, and they're willing to hear both sides, you're just like, controlled opposition. I get to go back to my echo chamber. Ba 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 ba. I know some people are gonna be hurt by that. I know. It's okay. It's okay. But yeah, very interesting conversation they're having. I didn't think Roseanne. Honestly, Roseanne isn't able. I shouldn't say that. It seems like I'm just surprised they're able to have such a deep conversation, because I usually see Roseanne as somebody who's saying like more out there, wild, salacious things. And for her to be able to come down to James's level, his tempo, his pacing, his deepness right now, very interesting. I think this podcast might do really well. I don't know. She's willing to have some people on, and she's willing to let them speak at length, and that says a lot, especially in today's climate, you know. But anyway, like the video, it helps so much. You have no idea. Boosts us out of the shadow realm, the deep, dark shadow realm. And other than that, I am out.